And so we're now at the point in this conference, this inaugural summit, where we've walked through a lot of the challenges. We described how we think heat is part of the answer to bring hash rate back home, decentralized mining, save people money, all this stuff. We learned about the firmware challenges. We learned we should probably integrate with the 100-year-old existing hydronic and HVAC industry. We learned that we want some chips, or we want the system builders that are the ASIC manufacturers to just make heating systems, but they're not doing that. Shout out to Can-Am, they're kind of doing it.
Yeah, Can-Am is doing that.
And now I think Cody and I want to open up the floor for anyone that has existing questions to join us on stage, a particular topic from this weekend that they thought was interesting or important to cover. But first, I think, should we do this again next year?
Oh, I mean,
what do you guys think?
What do you guys think?
I've been telling people that we're just going to keep meeting until there's a water heater in the backyard that looks normal.
Yeah,
and we solve the problem.
I mean, I wanted to mention that too. I think something we need to get into is like a call to action on specific products. I don't know if anyone has any other ideas, but I think the Bitcoin water heater is one of the greatest killer use cases, that's still to be developed. No one's done it. There's electric water heaters all over the city, but they're all heating with electricity. They can easily be plug and play. They can be a single thing that doesn't change. I mean, it seems obvious to me that we need an electric water heater for Bitcoiners. Even places that heat with natural gas use electric water heaters a lot of the time. So the market is enormous for something like that.
Yeah, so for the next 30, 40 minutes here, we're just going to welcome anyone to come up and talk about a particular thing that stuck out to them, something they think they want to solve next. What's our immediate action step? If you'd like to just go and socialize, that's fine. You can just go to that side and we'll keep that door closed. But if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, where do we go from here? Because again, this is not so much welcome to this Bitcoin conference, come to my booth, buy this product, thank you, goodbye, number go up. This is, we have problems to solve, we have work to do. So what do we do until the next heating season?
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Yeah, I think, I think, is someone from Unbound willing to come up here maybe?
Hey, where's Dwight?
Dwight just walked out. All right. All
Clay?
right.
Yeah, join us, Clay.
Come on, Clay, get up here. Unbound. Those of you who don't know Unbound, Zach Bomsta, the amazing Zach Bomsta, the guy who did all this cloud line and the Loki boards. I mean, he's the guy one of the guys behind Unbound. But Clay, go ahead and tell them what you guys are up to.
So a little bit of background, if I can. So I, again, non-engineer, found Bitcoin. Discovered that there's actually a way to print to make money. So I tried, I was like, at the time, I think the miner I was looking at was $5,000. So I was like, buy Bitcoin, buy a miner. 6 months later, I was buying, we had some rentals, and we had heating fuel. They were heated by heating fuel, and there was $6 a gallon for that. And so I paid that bill, and I'm like, man, I got to figure out another way to heat these buildings. And literally within 24 hours, Matthew Crowder's Bitcoin University, he talked about mining for heat. And I'm like, oh my, this is fell from the sky. So I contacted him. He he get me on a Telegram channel with Adam. Is Adam here?
I don't know.
Okay.
Not sure.
Adamo? He was here.
Oh, this other.
Oh, yeah, he's back there.
Okay. I got to meet you because you kind of started this journey for me. And that's you. Okay, yeah. And so I joined the Telegram channel. I met Zach, and I said, I think I have an idea for business. And I think a lot of us had that idea. So, and Zach told me, I got a chip. I recognized immediately that there was two big barriers to entry for home mining. One was the 240 requirement to get any kind of hash. And the other was the noise level. I mean, you guys all know how noisy 219s are. And yeah, we solved for that, or he did. And so I said, I think we can put these in homes. And so we started this journey. It was a couple years ago. And so now we have a product that works well. I mean, we're still in beta, but we have, we're working out a lot of kinks, but we feel like there's a really good pathway for us to get to an exahash by next year at this time.
1 exahash by next year?
If we can find the inventory to build these.
Please.
So, just from my perspective, it's kind of hilarious because I was obsessing over this single board idea for a while, and I was just in Telegram chat screaming about it. But I'm not very electrically inclined. And then I don't know, it was like 18 months later, I saw on Twitter Zach post about this single board he'd been working on, and I just like, it blew my mind. I freaked out. I was like, man, I've been talking about this and screaming about it forever. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm in that chat. Like, you're the reason I decided to go tinker with this. And I didn't even know the guy. And I had the exact same thought where if it was 120 and it was only a single board, the fans wouldn't have to rip hard. They'd be quiet, right? And it would be enough terahash now because, I mean, I think with the XPs, a single board could be almost 100 terahash. So the viability is like, I think we're there. There should be a miner in every home, right? Like there's almost no excuse now.
To play, I've always had this question. Cody and I were talking about it the other night when he was crashing on my couch. To play devil's advocate, when you are using single board, these systems come with typically 3 boards. You're building a product with this setup. Aren't you left with like odd misfit parts?
Yeah, so actually our current product, we use 2 hash boards.
2 hash boards, okay.
Yeah, to get about, at our we have 5 settings. Top setting, we can get 40 terahash. And so we use that extra board for the next one.
Gotcha, okay.
And you're,
40 terahash per board.
No, just 40 hair total, 20 hair terahash per.
and you guys are kind of some kind of like Constellation-esque setup, right? Where you're like, what is like the business model behind
Yeah,
this?
so that's one of the unique things about us is what we do is we place them in homes. So we target areas. There's pockets and we, just like Zach, open sourced the Loki and the Njord board. The tide rises all ships. So we would love to share these pockets. You know, we've done a lot of market research into areas where that heat arbitrage works. So for instance, there's a place in Star Valley, Wyoming. They have 6 cents kilowatt hour.
It's my hometown.
Exactly.
It's my hometown.
And
it's mining utopia.
Where's Dylan? So yeah, you got to do this every year. And by the way, you're probably going to need a bigger place next year.
Yeah, that's true.
But so what we do is we put these for free in homes where we can identify, look, you can save $100, $200 up to, right now, the highest we can save anybody based on their use of propane and the price of propane and their electrical rates is about $200 a month. That is significant. We found that 100 is the most compelling. If you can get over 100, that is like you got a sale, essentially.
What about college campuses? So
Funny
like,
you say that.
I just think about all the dorms I saw space heaters in.
100%.
Right? So like,
So-
why don't you go crush
Yeah.
that market?
That's like a regulatory oversight or something. That's like the college isn't paying attention type of.
well, but no, but I
loophole.
mean, like you could be
It's-
saving the college a
No,
lot of money.
I mean, I
you know?
doubt it.
So it's funny because last year I went to 3 colleges, and I went to a couple, and no offense to all the women in the room, but you get cold easy.
It's all the women. That was what I was. It was all the women's dorms just packed with space
3.
heaters.
But you do, and so I went to a couple sororities, and every one of them was like, "Yeah, my room's so cold." And I was like, "Okay, we're going to put a heater in there."
Yeah.
And they don't pay for their electricity.
Of course,
half the
yeah, of
time.
course, that's just-
yeah. And then the problem is going to be when the university catches on, and then you orange pill the university.
Well, I hate to be the cold towel here, but there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of places that have natural gas, and natural gas is it is the biggest enemy of Bitcoin mining. I mean, if there was no natural gas, everyone would be
Exactly.
Bitcoin mining.
Yeah, so natural
gas
gas
is ridiculously cheap. If you
It's
have
like
natural
3
gas,
cents.
you're not mining Bitcoin. If you are, you're not making money doing it. So, or you're not making sense doing it, probably. And there are occasional places where you have oddly provisioned natural gas that's like trucked in, and then in those cases maybe it makes sense, but it's
Kate Peterson.
uncommon. Yeah.
Where Kate lives.
But like Star Valley, where I'm from, doesn't have natural gas. We have propane, and we have electricity, and we have cheap electricity. And Wyoming, where I'm at, no natural gas. So there's lots of places. But like
yeah.
college campuses, unless you got one in rural, like Wyoming.
Well, see, I was in rural Iowa, and like a lot of the college campuses, while they
old?
may have natural gas, they have old infrastructure that's like pure electric, like electric radiators, really
yeah.
inefficient heating, really terribly insulated buildings.
Yeah.
At least the one I went to, and so. I mean, had I known about Bitcoin mining
Right.
when I was in college, I probably would have gotten kicked out of college for mining Bitcoin. Like, I would have loaded those circuits
Yeah.
up, but
There's a
I would
couple-
advise them to upgrade to a natural gas system.
Clay, so when you go to someone and you say, this will save you $100 off your heating bill, but the thing is mining Bitcoin, not $100.
Yeah.
How do you give them Bitcoin? Do they get dollars? What happens?
So this is a really interesting question. So what we conceptualized in the beginning is we had a mission. So we decided we're going to be a for-profit, for-good company. But if you guys can remember 3 years ago, it was a totally different landscape. We had to, we were fighting that whole they'll fight. What's the no? Well, yeah, exactly. Right around that time, we're like, we've got to decentralize things because there's attacks coming from everywhere. And like Bob's talked about, the centralization, you have attack vectors, both physically, regulatory. And so if we could decentralize this thing, that's much harder attack vector. So that was one of the things. And then to build the network. 3 years ago, we didn't have ETFs. We didn't have all these big players coming in, and we were still trying to grow. And so we figured, what's the best way to get to Trojan horse someone, to orange pill them? You got to give them utility, and they can't know it's Bitcoin. And it's not like we hide the Bitcoin idea, but what we do is we give people options for a 10%, sometimes higher, rebate is what I'm going to call it, thanks to this conference, the summit. But and so they can opt in for that, and that's Bitcoin. We really, really, really push that because that will give them exposure to Bitcoin, which is what we want, is really one of our biggest goals. The more miners they have in their home, the better the rebate is, the higher the rebate is, and so it's a win-win. We have pretty small margins. We're going to scale up, and we have to be conscientious of that. But it really works. I'll give you one example, if you don't mind. I had a nonprofit, it's called Energy Share Montana. Their whole purpose is to give energy in terms of rebates or heaters to people in need, low-income people. And that is a great market for us as well, because those people that can save $100, $200 a month, they're all over it. They were so excited. A phone call, explained the situation. She's like, this is great. Write me a proposal. Send a proposal to her. She was doing backflips. Because it's easy to say, I could save you money. All the donations that you get, you can add, you can put to different areas rather than this, and it's no cost to you. She was ecstatic. 5 days later, we're not interested. Can anybody guess why? Exactly. There's still the FUD around Bitcoin. So we have we're not pivoting necessarily, but we really emphasize the fact that we're a heating company. We can, and then to your question, Tyler, we can pay them through Strike. We use Strike because their API is really great for us right now to give them that, but that enables them they can use that cash they can convert it to cash and do anything they want with it. Hope that was a good answer to your question.
Yeah, I like that you guys are doing the 110 voltage. Like the wall plug that's very accessible, it fits in every house. But I think another killer use case beside the water heater, Star Valley is where I grew up, and everybody's not using 110 volts to heat their houses. They're using 220 or they're using 240. Baseboard heat is how those guys heat, and same with a lot of these cold places. They're using baseboard heat, so oftentimes they actually already have 240 available, which. I'm not saying you guys have gone down the wrong path. I think what you guys are doing is great, but I think there's an addition that Unbound or somebody out here could do, which is come up with a sub 30 decibel, 240 volt ready swap out for baseboard heat, because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of baseboard heaters, probably just in Wyoming, much less other states, that people are using constantly. My neighbor has 4 of them in his house, and they're just nuking over there. You walk over and you're like, my God. Yeah, this is producing no Bitcoin. I can feel no Bitcoin coming out of this. So I think that's another one that, if you can, I think it needs to be sub 30 decibels, but, because people are used to these things being silent. They are quiet. They don't have forced air systems, so they're used to silence, so you can't be trying to sneak in 40 decibels. But I think someone needs to look into this, because I think that's a really good plug-and-play use case that could be adapted quickly.
Does that require a form factor change, though? Because I think space heaters heaters is where we started, because it's easy. It looks like it's a shoebox. You turn it on its side, it's a space heater. Put a different fan on top.
I don't think that it has to be the exact form factor that exists now. I think you could I think that there is some flexibility there. It's not like it wouldn't fit. It would just stick out slightly further from the wall. I think you could remain the same size. Yeah, 1 second. Let me finish, and I'll come to you. I think you could keep the shape of an S19 or something. They're not that thick, and they stand up a little bit, but I don't think standing up's a problem. No, I don't think you need to stay in the same baseboard format. I think people would be willing to flex. If they were like, look, this thing saves me $1,000. My 4 baseboards are going to save me $1,000 this winter. Yeah, I can deal with it being slightly off shape.
Or just buy 3 of those Can-Am baseboard ones, and then...
Problem with I love those too.
Long and wide.
But those are 800 watts. Baseboards are 2,400 watts.
Yeah, okay.
So you're going to stack them or... Yeah. Yeah, and coming up with some way to distribute the power. Yeah, you were going to say something?
That's what I'm
Oh, you're building this.
Baseboard electric heat, 70s build house in the central area.
Yeah.
I mean, the really cool ancillary aspect to this, I think, is that it puts all the big mega miners on the grid on their heels, right? Like, you got to compete with people that are willing to mine at a loss, mine at a kilowatt per hour loss, right? Like, if you're using heat, you're offsetting a liability. You know, even if you're spending $1 to make 90 cents, but you're reducing your heating bill during the winter. How do you compete with that miner?
How many cycles do you think until they really are worried?
You're in deep shit. You better get creative.
I know, especially how big the heating market is, which that's something that I've thought a lot about. Is I felt, and maybe my perception is wrong, the mega miners don't really pay attention to us heat punks because they're like, oh, these guys are making space heaters. There's a few of them. It's like, I'm going to go send 20,000 miners to Riot and Marathon.
Yeah, I mean,
but my argument is there are literally more people that need heat than need 10 megawatts in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
$76 billion industry. What do you call it? The dumb heaters?
Yeah.
76 billion. We could, that's.
I mean, 20 million people with a single board, and we're like, increasing network difficulty by 60, 70%. Like, that hurts the hash price for the guys that are, need to be above margin.
I love it. I love the idea that the current, centralized mining ecosystem that a lot of us are not fans of will just get like bitch slapped by the HVAC industry one day.
I mean, it's a feature of Bitcoin's design, right? Like, scale is punished, and that's a good thing. Like, it's so hard to scale in Bitcoin mining. That's it's a commodity first, and the bigger you get, the harder it is. Every exahash yields you less, even though it costs you the same as the previous exahash. So, the mathematical conclusion is that it should be, the majority of hashing should be guerrilla heat punk miners, right? And that's a good thing, right? It'll stay decentralized. There won't be central, like one Bitcoin mining winner, one winner take all. That's in a lot of commodity games. That's the case, right? Whether it's cocoa or salt or aluminum, not with Bitcoin.
What other questions should we cover? Covered some killer products. I think a water heater would go a long way too.
Yeah.
Like
Water
that
heaters-
looks like a water heater.
Yeah, that looks, for sure. Yeah.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah,
so,
comment.
I shouldn't speak for Schnitzel, but one of the things that I'm so glad that you guys put this on. The innovation, the brain power that's here is fantastic, but it's kind of sometimes isolated, and you don't have, and Schnitzel, I don't want to speak for you, but I think one of the problems that we have is communicating those innovations sometimes. So. Schnitzel's been working on a water heater, but he's come up with some logistic issues that might be solved in forums like this. We can scale if we are able to build. Our only problem is our inventory. I think the market's definitely there, but I can't scale to Minnesota easily. If I got someone in Minnesota that could help us, we will. We're working on different compensation. Yeah, exactly. And in Ohio and many other places, we can scale that. We can, but the open sourceness and that's only in Bitcoin. The idea that we have here that allows us that we're all dedicated to this open sourceness. It's all just going to benefit us in the end. But it's heartwarming. I love it, so props to you guys for allowing us to grow, and because that open sourceness will allow us to accelerate our growth in many, many ways, whether it's by physical locations or it's just innovations that happen through our different talents. That didn't answer any questions. It was just a raw thing.
Yeah,
No, you
appreciate
teed him up.
it.
Should we hear
Yeah.
from Schnitzel about that?
Yeah, Schnitzel. Take this.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, what I'm really looking forward is how can we do this not only once a year, but actually all year round. And I know that there's a Telegram channel with all the heat punks, but
Yeah, let me put
honestly,
the QR up.
for me, the Telegram is extremely hard because I look at it once a day and there's 700 messages and you just scroll forever.
Well, that's why this exists, yeah.
I know, but what my suggestion would be is actually we join another community, and that's called OSMU, the Open Source Miners United.
Yes.
So they already have a Discord channel with 6,000 people in it. Now, these are mostly bidaxers, but the bidax project has been that successful over 1.5 years because they have one channel where they can talk. There's different channels. We have threads. You can ping each other. So they all already are immersion channels in there. there are other channels in there. So I really suggest, that's my proposal to this community.
I've thought about this.
Is that we move away from Telegram, and for an event like that, it's great, but like to actually get stuff done and like solve these problems that like we're saying, I think we need a slightly better tool. And I think the BitX community showed us that it's possible to do it in their channels, and they're open and welcome for us as well. So that's
a great idea. I was talking to Scott about that in Nashville.
I mean, I think that's a great idea. I can't. I'm the same as Schnitzel. I can't stand these Telegram chats. Frankly, it's like if there's more than like 2 messages every day. I'm just like, this is a disaster.
I message Cody twice a day.
Yeah, I can't stand our texts alone are too much. So, but yeah, no, I think that's good, especially if they've got different like categories, so it's not so overwhelming inside one just deluge of like constant.
Well, join this if you're interested, and then if we migrate, there'll be announcements through there. So nobody's
So
left
you find it
behind.
on Google OSMU, or there's osmu.wiki, there's a link to the Discord. It's basically like a better Telegram. But specifically about problems is like what I think we should really do is like, yes, today there is no water heater yet.
Yeah.
But it will be there at one point. And I think if we then go out at that point and try to orange peel the plumbers and the HVAC people, it's too late. Like, I encourage all of you, talk to your plumbers, talk to your HVAC people, show them pictures of this here, tell them it's gonna come, but eventually we're gonna have to install this in every person's house, and we're not gonna do it ourselves. We're gonna only do it with local, actual people that already know how to install this. So yeah, my question really to all of you is like, next time you talk to your plumber, like, ask them, like, how is their business model? Like, it's like shake a rancher's hand. That's what like we do a lot in like that in that world. Like shake your plumber's hand. Like ask them how their business model is working, and tell them that there is new things coming up. Like one thing that I'm always saying is like we should not just tell these plumbers to install these miners in people or the water heaters in people's houses. We should also give them 1 or 2% or 5 or 10%, whoever, how much, give them back. Because one of the things that I learned talking to plumbers, they don't have a recurring revenue at all. They basically rely on people's houses to break to make money, and that's completely broken. And so if we can convince them to install these Bitcoin water heaters that then also gives them recurring revenue back, suddenly they have an incentivation to actually make sure that all your houses are working properly all the time. And that's going to completely change the industry. And I think there will be probably 9 out of 10 plumbers will tell you that you're a complete freak and you have no idea about plumbing and you should go away. And that's probably correct. But there's one that will do it. And that person will maybe 2 or 3 later drive up. And I hate that analogy, but they're going to be the ones that drive up with the Lambo. And all the other plumbers are saying, what the fuck? What happened? And he said, well, I started to install Bitcoin water heaters. And then they're going to convince all of them. That's how we do it. So, but I need all your help to convince them, to talk to them, to orange pill them. Start slow, like don't overwhelm them. And at one point, yes, we're going to have the water heater. And we're going to ship it to everybody. And then you already have the contacts, and you know exactly who to talk or who to call when the next, maybe in a year already, we're going to announce the water heater.
I think the space needs a Lambo.
You know,
I really hope they don't buy a Lambo with their Bitcoin, but we can't connect. Like
one of our new members owns some Chevy dealerships, and we're going to get some space vans for the ski trip next year, and we're going to call them space shuttles. So we'll have them for next year. So
First thing is that we need to have the water heater in our house.
Yes.
Then we can get those other plumbers together.
yeah, that's a good point, Bodhi, because I was wondering about this myself. Is what is kind of the step process here to scale it? Do you need to just kind of say, screw it, I have to install 100 of these systems with these retrofitted industrial miners that are terrible to work with just to show that proof of concept? Or do we have to have that killer product first to scale it from there? I'd appreciate commentary on that from anybody, honestly.
I think it's a parallel process. Like we see it already. Nicholas and does it, Antoine from Heat 256. Like it's happening, but having talked to these guys, it's also extremely hard to scale this. My experience is that, again, these people work in an environment that actually works against them, and so they are afraid of new things because they're busy with actually surviving. And so, but I think if we have something that we can show them off, so that's why I'm excited about this space, like that's my question to you. Like, can we install them here permanently? I know we talked about this already, but I think that's what we need to do so that
I think we have to.
that if you have a plumber in, let's say you live in Denver, that says, oh yeah, I'm interested, you can bring them here and you can show them. Like, you cannot imagine how many people, whenever I bring my hashtop to other people or to like events, they're like, okay, now everything suddenly makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they read podcasts, they saw YouTubes, whatever, but the fact that they can put their hand in a warm hot tub is worth more than 100,000 hours of YouTube videos.
I think
So-
we talked about this in the regulatory landscape last night, or somebody, that panel talked about this, as if Colin mentioned the idea that you may need to go to a low regulatory environment, implement these systems, and prove them out before these high regulatory environments are going to allow these things. And maybe that needs to happen outside the United States, or in Wyoming, which is almost outside the United States. But I was going to mention, I don't mean to call you out here, Nicholas, but I think you have an incredible product. I think you need to market it way better. I have seen 0 photos of your, like, there are no, I know you have installations out there. Like, I think we keep saying we have these like kind of hacked together products. I think your product is better than hacked together, you know, but I need you to market better, Nicholas. I need to see some, you know.
And
need some-
I'm going to
Action
jump. I'm going
step,
to
action
piggyback
step.
on that.
and
Now-
same with you guys, actually. Where are you guys at? Where's the
Maybe
marketing
we need a
team?
marketing
here?
team.
You'll see the hypocrisy I'm about to display. But that is, you guys are the smart people that put things together. And you have to remember that there is a need on that other side to exactly what Cody's talking about, that marketing team. And it's when you build a team, you have to understand what you're good at and what you need help with. And apparently we need help with
We need
marketing.
help with marketing. That's what we need help with.
We do. And that's where we have to, Troy or Daniel or...
Hang on a second. We'll take one from Troy in the back.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna
Oh.
say, I know a lot about this space, and I still didn't know a lot, and still didn't even know what all you were doing.
Yeah.
You know, even after this, but like, if I don't know that,
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know it, and I'm looking at this stuff all the time. I haven't seen Unbound stuff. I should be seeing it everywhere. I should open up Twitter and be getting Unbound.
I didn't know your
ads.
website was live until like yesterday.
I didn't know you had a website until right now. To be honest.
But that's a great thing. Maybe
marketing is like, I mean, we have social media, and that's our main outlet, and just spam your stuff out to social media.
Yeah.
Basically what I do, I don't get paid for it, but it's my real job, is just calling attention to cool shit that people are doing. And there's many more people like you who just enjoy doing that for fun.
Yeah.
Free marketing.
There you go.
Give us cool stuff. We get off on showing that cool stuff to other people. And be like, hey, now that I say it, it sounds really
Yeah. You know,
Thank you.
You know who is good at marketing and couldn't make it to this conference because of their disposition is Dirty Shotcha at 100 Acres Ranch. So. You're not missing that guy.
We got a question.
Just want to defend Nicholas here.
All right.
So my name's Daniel. I live in Vermont, about 2 hours from Nicholas. Just got into Bitcoin mining last year with the Erlocker setup. Shout out David. What I found at this summit here is that there are already so many great products built. The builders have built. The challenge right now is almost product market fit. I think a lot of people are waiting for something to be amazing, something that Google would produce to replace a sexy new heap of water heater that's just perfect in Bitcoin. And that takes a long time. But to get there, there are people who would do something a little bit less, who will iterate with you. So I picked up a couple of his constellation heaters. We're in the process of building it. We were hoping to have it ready for this so we could show off the photos, but there have been a lot of snowstorms, about 340 inches that prevented that. But I think a big takeaway is iterative progress is a good thing. If you have a HVAC system that's forced hot air, get an air miner with 256 heat. If you have old hydronic heat already, you already have a radiant system. Get something like Constellation or the hashtag games products here. They're both good products. But get those in place that you can show your friends. And then I think as you start to spread it out, that's the only way I imagine we can get sort of normies to be interested in it is by getting it out there.
I would just say that everyone in this room would agree with you. We could all do this. We love Bitcoin. We're Bitcoin maximalists. I can go log in and tinker with my miner's firmware. if it requires literally anything besides downloading an app and typing in a phone number, no one else will do it. And so that's like a shout out to Can-Am and HeatBit in a sense. I do think we need to be cognizant about balancing, and Troy and I talked about this with Mechanic and Matt yesterday, balancing the digital sovereignty, block template construction, decentralization. The whole reason we're all Bitcoiners. But that problem can be solved. So I love what you're doing, Daniel. I love what Nicholas is doing. I fully agree, but that doesn't mean we can't keep making the things better. And it's like this big chicken and egg, right? Because, okay, I'm trying to install a heating system that requires that I orange pill the user. That sucks. I have to use machines that have no documentation and I can't access anything. That sucks. The firmware that lets me control them is technically jailbreaking and voiding the warranty of the machine. That sucks. It's like all of these steps that we're doing, and there's still people making products, which is insane. It's only going to get easier and better. So it's good that we have the 256 Foundation and these grants.
Yeah,
to work on all those things.
Yeah, I want to talk about that a bit. So, for the people that don't know, I know I mentioned it now multiple times, but the 256 Foundation is started by Eco Alchemist. He is one of the OG Bitcoin home miners.
He's from Denver and he moved away, apparently.
Correct. And Rod, which he is one of the founders of Bitcoin Park, they started the 256 Foundation roughly a year ago to basically go against this proprietary Bitcoin hardware and software shit that we have today, that we all have to work against with. So their plan has always been to create a completely open source miner. That means going from hardware to software to firmware, everything completely, all the data sheets, all the possibilities, so that all the builders in this room can build their own hash boards, can build their own control boards. They've always talked about it. They had their own podcast, and they always said, okay, the problem is for any foundation that wants to do this, you have a chicken egg problem. If you don't have a product, you don't have anybody that gives you money. But if you don't have anybody that gives you money, you don't have any people you can pay, because they need to pay people to build this stuff.
That was when we were trying to start the space. That was exactly the position we were in. We were like, we want to rent a building, but we have no money. But I have people that say they'll give me money.
If you have a building.
If we have a building.
Exactly. So they had the same problem. Now, luckily, there's the BitX project, and Scott that already has all this knowledge. They were able to scrap together money to found one project, which is the Ember one, which is basically a BitX with 12 chips on it. It's going to be completely open source. It's going to talk USB-C. It's going to build 12 to 24 volts. So that was, but the problem was they only had that project, and they had a lot of other ideas, 4 other grants, but they had no money. Now, I don't know what exactly happened 3 weeks ago. I don't know if God exists, or if Satoshi exists. But Satoshi made sure that the 256 Foundation found a block during the telehash.
That was Marshall Long that made that happen.
So their treasury went from one second to the other from a couple of $1,000s to $350,000. And what they're doing now is they now are looking to fund 5 projects. One of them is the miner, so there's going to, or the hash board. There's going to be a completely open source hash board. There's going to be a completely open source control board. There's going to be a completely open source firmware. There's going to be a completely open source pool that you can install yourself. And there's going to be an open source block watcher so you can see what's actually happening and all that stuff. So this is basically the whole suite. And they're looking right now to find people to build this. Now, they already are in the interview stage. So that is if you're interested, you're a little bit too late. But these people, there's going to be 5 lead engineers, and they're going to be announced in the next week, and they need your input. So they will need to know from you, like, let's say if you are a builder and you would really like to have a control board that has a temperature sensor on it, that's what they need to know. Or if you have a firmware and you would really like something that firmware does, that team needs to know. So it's going to be, yes, it's going to be by individual people. They're going to lead it, but they build stuff for us. So I encourage you to follow this, and as soon as this is announced, who these people are, talk to them, don't bug them. They're going to have a lot of people, but talk to them and tell them what you need. Don't expect, though, that they're going to build it immediately. Again, we only have $350,000. Like, it's not going to, most people are going to do this part-time beside their regular fiat jobs to work on these projects, but at least it's going to allow us within 6 to 9, 12 months to actually deliver something. And then hopefully a lot more money is going to come in, because then we actually have something to show off. And so that's what I'm extremely excited about.
If I can, and I think that's one of the things that maybe you guys will accomplish, but one of the things that we're missing is a repository of information, like places we can go, especially as pleb miners, to find out things like that. Is that something that you would be able to assist
Yeah,
with?
we should do that. I should be more organized. Thanks.
No, maybe you are. I don't. But I think that definitely is missing, that ability to
I
find
agree.
information.
I agree. And then I just also build off Schnitzel's comments. So when we have these opportunities, these people that are extending their arm to us, essentially, we should take their hand. And another big player doing that is Proto and Block. They've expressed clearly that, okay, they're going to work on MDK version 2. The heat punks are very, very interesting new market to them. And so we should tell them what we want. And so just continuing that conversation, I think, is another thing we can do as well. Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, so call to action would be to establish so I've been here for 2 days. I'm kind of on the spectrum of least technical person in the room. But I'm also somebody who's wild and crazy enough that I would install something in my house just for the fun of it. I don't give a shit if I lose my money doing it. But I would what's market ready? What is it market ready? And to Cole's point, like, why the hell don't we have a hot water heater? I mean, what are the roadblocks to that? Where is the
Schnitzel can talk about this. There's a reason we don't have a hot water heater. It's chip temp, and it is hard to get domestic hot water temperatures. It's just not as simple as like air temp for heating. It is harder to get up there. The miners don't like running this hot, so it is like either
It's much better.
But I also heard this weekend that some of the fabs are literally throwing away chips that aren't efficient enough because they get too hot.
Yeah, so you think like
With binning and stuff? See, I don't know. It's way over my head.
No, we could. I mean, there's plenty of ideas that have been pitched around. I don't know what you're working on, Schnitzel, but there are hilarious ideas like what you're talking about, which is like sacrificial boards.
Yes,
like
give me
you
your
just use
sacrificial.
S9s and they just burn out once a month, and you just slap another one in.
No.
And they're like free, so
We
you
do
know.
have like 20 in the basement.
Yeah, I'll give somebody S9s. You can just build a sacrificial water heater, and maybe they last 2 months, maybe they last 6 months. I don't know.
So could we create a repository?
Yeah.
From the
Yeah.
of just like, for instance, the vendors that already Undermine or 250 seats, I can't even think, just contact. So I can go on the space website and say, yeah, okay, I'm going to give these guys a shout out and find out, what it is they can do for me.
And perhaps that exists through the 256 Foundation or Open Source Miners United too, as Schnitzel pointed out, because they also have a lot of the minds together that are necessary to do what we're aiming to do.
I agree. I think we should talk to them just to see. Like, I agree. It would be extremely cool to have a repository for all these projects that are in the back there. That for each of them is a link, who built them, how they work, can I buy them or can I build them? That would be extremely cool. Yeah, 100%. And then if we have some people that like marketing, they can take that and they can talk the shit out of it on social media.
Good thing
Because-
I bought heatpunks.org.
Good.
Like this week I bought it. I haven't done anything with it. .xyz was also bought. What next, Cody?
Oh, I'll just keep bitching. I have one other company that I think needs to be shouted out for not marketing well. Maybe two more. HeatCore sounds like they've got an amazing 5 kilowatt single phase, boiler that I'm super excited. Probably going to get one to try out. And it's like, why do we not know about this? Who in here knew that HeatCore had this digital boiler that's ready to go? Okay,
240 volts.
4 people did before this.
And no
sorry,
one
yeah.
knows about the M64.
No, the M64 is the miner that's inside.
It's
of it.
in the back room, and it's not on What's Miner's website. No one knows it exists.
I
We have it.
mean,
It's behind us.
I'm super excited those guys showed up, and it's great. But yeah, again, guys, come on, scream this stuff from the rooftops so we can hear it, or at least whisper it from the rooftops so somebody hears it. I mean, we want your products.
You had a question?
It's more of a question or a statement, I guess, which is, as a community so focused on sovereignty, why are we using Telegram and Discord?
We are trying to get a
convenience.
Matrix server for our members here. And
That's
it has
well,
been painful. It's very painful to set up.
So people are working on a Discord replacement with Nostr. We're not there yet. The first things, they're not useful. So right now, I think, for me, I agree with you. Communication is more important than what tool we're using. But as soon as there is a Nostr alternative, let's move over there.
Yeah, concur.
I'll take the scolding, but at the same time, there's a balance. You gotta You got to reach your market. You try to be as decentralized as possible. I hate the fact that I use Google, but there's so many applications for it. We'll get away from it someday, but it's a balance.
Good man. I like the principles.
Should we ask for like suggestions for next year? Things that might change.
Yeah,
maybe.
that's a good point.
It could be brutal. Anybody have any feedback for things that maybe improve Undermine next year?
A bigger hot tub.
A bigger hot tub. I think we just do more. I don't know. Some people like to be in the hot tubs with other people. I think we just do 6 hot tubs. Maybe we do one where 2 people
Why
can
don't
get
we
in
just
it.
this whole room a hot tub?
It's true.
We have enough miners.
I think this building should be heated by hashrate by next year.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Ooh. Bold. Yeah,
That's an
you should.
open invitation. Shout out to Dane for originally pitching it to me with his hashrate house that's already in the back. But we need a lot of heat. There's lots of ducts. It's
Yeah.
a big building, so that would be perfect. We get a lot of foot traffic, It'd be just like, as you said, oh, yeah, I'm talking about this concept. Sounds over my head. We'll come to the building. We'll have lunch.
Yeah,
I'll show
and-
it to you.
And maybe also make sure that you don't have to shovel snow. Like,
Heat the sidewalk.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And then
Or
we'll
just
put a
the
sign,
heated- or
we'll put
just
a
the
sign in
build-
the front yard that says, this building has been converted to electric heat.
Oh, now it's high efficiency.
The city will love it. Those exist in Denver.
3 days.
3 days.
Oh, 3 days. Ooh, I don't know. I'll think about that one. People think they want more. I used to run the Salt Lake City meetup, and people would be like, oh, we need to do this more often. And then you try it more often, and no one shows up. And you're like, sometimes, maybe though. Maybe 2.5. Maybe there's like an industry day or something like
We probably won't do it 2 days before ETH Denver next year, because that starts on Monday, and I'm like, we literally.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there won't be ETH next year,
This is the last ETH Denver.
but for the 20,000 shitcoiners that already bought their flight, we had one of our members in an emergency weld a cage around our server in the basement. If any of they're just gonna try and get into this building next week, and it's gonna be a nightmare. We need to do security like the park. Yeah. Anything else? Any other comments or questions?
The only other thing is like maybe find a better space for all the people showing off their cool projects. Like the back room is cool, but
But you hate it.
having just like maybe that people can like write down like a little pamphlet or something
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
explain like who built it, because if you want to talk to the person that built it, you just need to
Yeah, that's good feedback.
Yeah.
For sure.
by chance find them.
For sure.
Or maybe even have like at the end of the meeting or sometime during it, that you could have some of those guys do just a presentation on what it is their product is, so that everyone can hear it rather than a technical live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost wish we had pictures of them all too, so we could show the crowd. Hey, go back there, talk to this person to see that.
Maybe just the picture of the miner, picture of the person, and then you find that person. Yeah.
And I mean, we talked about this. I think we're a big enough project or like thing now that you can actually get some of the local government here. Like, it worked very well at Bitcoin Park.
Well, why would we want the local government here?
Well, because
So
we
we
want
can
them to
control them.
understand that this is a thing.
I don't know. Well, okay. I don't know. Maybe. I'm happy in Wyoming that my local government doesn't understand a thing that I'm doing.
But they don't work against you.
That's it's true.
They
But if they
understand
work
some
against
stuff
you,
in
they need to
Wyoming.
understand that they
I
do
have
something
this
bad.
word you give them a reason to work.
We had one
against.
staffer from Lummis's office here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting there.
All right.
But I think, it can't hurt. Invite a
I mean,
congressional
you
rep.
can also say, no, I don't want them here. But
No,
I can,
no.
I can tell you, like, in the park in
Yeah.
Nashville, that worked really well because now the Nashville and the Tennessee government understands this and saying, like, we learned so much that now the laws we're going to build are made for you.
And to that point, we actually 2 years ago we tested. I was part of a group with Dennis Porter that testified in Montana. That opened up a lot of doors that I haven't taken advantage of yet. But with legislators who are like, okay, maybe this Bitcoin thing isn't so bad. There's the eco benefits. There's this. They just have to be educated. So there is. I'm with you though. I'd rather not.
There was
but-
already a push in Denver County that new builds must use electric heat, electric stoves, electric lawnmowers in Denver County.
Let's push
So,
for that.
I mean, it's heinous, but we can come in and say, hey, I made your requirements. Will you let me install this stuff?
But that's the thing. Like, I've seen people asking me like, does my system have a tax rebate because there is one for heat pumps? So people are thinking about, should I get a heat pump or should I get a Bitcoin heater? And they get a tax rebate on the heat pump. And I'm like, technically my system should give you one too, but the government doesn't understand it, and so no. And so for them, it's then a harder decision. But if we can make the government making sure that they also give tax rebates for what we're building, because it uses the same electricity or the same energy, then maybe it makes it easier. And for that, we need these people here. It's unfortunately that's what we need.
Yeah, it's true. And then on the other side of that is I just discovered there is a relation. I'll connect the dots. But I just found out that one of the best markets in the country for us, Minnesota, offers who was it that told me that? It was I can't remember. They offer a 50% discount to move to electric heat between the months of October and May. That's huge. If you know anybody that lives in Minnesota, have them contact me, and I'll set them up to put all the miners we can over there. And because that's a huge market with a huge price arbitrage that works great. And then just going back to that politician idea is the more we're connected with politicians, legislation, and regulatory environments, we find out not only things like that, but we can be influential as well, both ways.
I got some pushback for you, Schnitzel. Let's say you get this government in here to come in and be like, oh, let's get rebates for electricity because it's the same efficiency as what you consider electric. The problem is that it isn't the same efficiency as what they consider electric. It is from a fiscal standpoint. It's economically very efficient. It's the most efficient, but it's not as electrically efficient as a heat pump. Like,
of course, but
this is why Switzerland or Sweden or whatever has a ban on resistive electric heating. So how are you going to?
But we got in Switzerland, we got Bitcoin mining passed through. It is not considered resistive heating.
All right. I
so
just
funny
could
to
foresee
me.
it being a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, sure. But
like,
in the end, maybe this is not the argument we need to do. Maybe we need to say this decarbonizes the houses.
yeah, just less so than a heat pump, I guess.
Yeah.
Heat pumps don't work everywhere.
Can I speak
Yeah.
to all of these?
Yeah.
You know, anytime there's a rebate, there's an undermining desire to influence stuff, right? And so, yeah, the heat pump uses less electricity. Usually that's an incentive because they're trying to minimize the load on the infrastructure. You know, I come from a power company, and that was my job was the rebate stuff. And so helping people do rebates because, well, hey, we need to make this infrastructure last longer. Of course, get into Bitcoin, and I'm like, well, no, what we actually need is more generation and more infrastructure building. We're just delaying stuff and we're paying for it.
Right. So from your perspective, you're saying that the reason they do the heat pump incentive is to actually reduce load, right? So this wouldn't work. You would not look at this and think, oh, what a good solution. You'd think that's a terrible solution.
But like in
Unless it gets passed as a, you know, for whatever reason, you know, we said that
like in Virginia,
Yeah.
they do the rebates not to reduce the load on the grid. They do the rebates to have less carbon emissions.
Sure. That does make sense.
And
Yeah.
but yes, that's like the things we need to figure out. We need to
right.
talk
Which
to them.
one are they
why
optimizing
did they
for?
pass these things? Can we help them? Blah 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 blah.
And then I'll further add, and it's the perceived load or the carbon emissions, because depending on what generation, right?
Of
Right,
course.
sure.
That's a completely other topic for a completely other conference.
I think someone more articulate in philosophy, Troy, perhaps, could make the argument that even though it is at the source of deployment less electrically efficient, and this doesn't apply to grids, like the grid balancing situation, but even though it's less electrically efficient than a heat pump, because it's more economically efficient, and if money is a form of energy, then it is actually the most like globally efficient option, despite the fact that it burns more electricity in one spot, at the output. So anyway, somebody should expound upon that later.
So I just wanted to say something to everybody here, and that is that coming from a contractor background, I learned that I had to wear all the hats. Marketing, owner, I had to get down on my knees, do the work myself. I had to do all of it. And one thing I learned is that I had to stay in my lane. I can't wear all the hats, but at the beginning I had to. But what I'm trying to say is that
Thank you, Bodie.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
I think we have started a movement, right? It feels that way. It feels like we have something going here. I hope we're right.
I think so. Maybe this will be the look. Maybe Undermine will be looked back as the turning point, as the inflection point, where this, this grassroots movement kind of all came together, and then things came out of this. Swan was birthed at a conference. All sorts of Bitcoin things started at like small conferences. So who knows what comes out of this? I hope there's a lot of collaboration here. I hope maybe there's consolidation. Maybe some of you guys realize like, hey, we're doing the same thing. Let's work together. So.
I think that pretty much covers it. I think we should probably go hang out, eat some food, have some drinks.
Hit those hash tubs, baby.
And get in the hot tub.
What you got, Mark?
One more announcement, quick.
One thing, real quick. How about a couple of hands to these two guys for putting this together?